playing your mono red deck. 74 of your 75.
So it appears that both players have mulligan. Looks like they're looking at 6-card hands.
Yeah, it looks like it. How's your deck mulligan? Pretty well?
It's fine.
Okay. He's taking a good close look at that hand. All right, he's happy. And it looks like we're about to be underway as soon as they get the goal head, which is what they're waiting for. So round number 5, my friends, of 10 of our Standard Open will be underway shortly here. We'll see what's going to kind of stand on top of our standard format as Thoughtseize from Kornacki is going to lead things off here. You see 2 mountains, Mutavault, Fire Drinker Satyr, Gorehouse Chainwalker, and the old trusty Foundry Street Denizen.
Look at that hand of lands and doofuses.
Yeah, old scrappy Foundry Street Denizen. You and him, you guys have just a really, just a good bond together.
Yeah, I played him at the Pro Tour with a bunch of white creatures in my deck.
Yeah, just a really nice deck.
A really good working relationship.
So if you're being Thoughtseized here, and you see Kornacki's got a Far and Away in his hand, a couple other cards, but he knows what he's up against here. He's against a mono-red linear strategy. Look at the Nightveil Spectre he has in his hand, too. What are you taking if you're Kornacki?
Well, if it's Nightveil Spectre, then, okay, it has to be either Fire Drinker Satyr or Gore Chainwalker.
Okay.
I would kind of err towards taking the Chainwalker.
Okay.
With the Mutavault in hand, because Pannel has another mana sink, but it's pretty close.
All right, just a swamp and pass the turn back. So Foundry Street is here on turn 1, and we'll see what the follow-up's going to be. If it's just going to simply be Gorehouse Chainwalker Unleashed, which it will be. So we'll get the die out there on the old 3-2. And Trigger in for 2. Hopefully he didn't forget that Trigger. Kornacki's going to go down to 16 and pass the turn back.
It appears that Nightveil Spectre is the play for him this turn.
And there it is, the promotional Nightveil Spectre. May have tricked you there, but Pannel going to untap. He's going to take a draw step, and we'll see what he can find, if he's got a removal spell to get that thing out of the way or not.
Yep.
If he does, things will be looking very, very good for him.
This
There's
is a
your
spot
mountain.
where Rubble Bell Maka is insane.
Yep.
Also and this is definitely a Maka attack.
This feels like a Maka attack, yeah. So Robelt Maka Blood Rush, going to give it +3/+3, a card that we'll bring up on the screen for you guys. 4 damage going to come across, going to knock Kornacki down to 12. Patrick is currently fanning his face, by the way.
That was a heater.
Yep. So let's see what Kornacki can draw. There is a Temple of Deceit. Scry going to put that card on the bottom and pass the turn back. Kornacki does have, again, Far and Away in his hand, so he can't cast the away half to make Pannel sacrifice something. Here, pre-combat, Fire Drinker Satyr, Trigger, if that's okay, it is, and...
I feel like Kornacki's been sitting on this Far and Away for a really long time.
He really has been.
He's trying to set up a fuse or something, but I think you just need to snap off that edict.
I think you just have to cast your spells as fast as you can in this matchup. Just unload your hand. Like, you're not going to get the most favorable traits at any point anyway, so you just have to fire away as often as you can. Kornacki now sitting at 5, passes the turn back, so he can fuse Far and Away now. Let's see, Pannel going to probably, okay, not going to play anything pre-combat, just going to fire up here. Is representing a Fire Drinker Satyr activation.
So this attack,
yeah, and he's just going to concede the game, is Kornacki. So Thomas Pannel going to win game number 1 off the back of that. I guess you could give it to Rebel Belt Maka if you want.
It was pretty powerful there.
It was powerful.
That was actually awesome because I was talking earlier about how, like, I like Rebel Maka with Mutavault better than Shortcutter.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 mana.
And it happened. Yeah, it's kind of like we drew it up that way.
It's like we drew it up that way.
So we'll take a look at the sideboards here. I'm going to start with Jonathan Kornacki as he is going to be on the play for game number 2. He's got a Pithing Needle. He's got a Ratchet Bomb. He's got 2 copies of Pack Rat, a Read the Bones, 2 copies of Notion Thief, no stories to be told this go around, a Haunted Plate Mail, an Underworld Connections, a Dark Betrayal, a Whip of Erebos, and count it 4 Farika's Cure. Yeah,
the Cure and the Ratchet Bomb are excellent. Ratchet Bomb's especially good against my list.
How do we feel about Haunted Plate Mail? Basically a 4-mana 4/4 that dodges Missing Mortars. What it feels like in this matchup.
Not bringing in Mortars. I think the card's fine. It's probably better than some of his, the 4 Thoughtseizes need to go, some of the World Connections. So making the deck a little bit more efficient.
Okay.
It's probably better than cards he has in his main deck.
All right. So we'll see if we do see that equipment from M14. We'll kick it back to your side. What does Pannel have to sideboard in the mono red deck?
The way that I sideboard for this matchup is 4 Skullcrack and 2 Act of Treason for -4 Shock and -2 Maka. Though if I knew that my opponent had a bunch of Ratchet Bombs in the deck, then I would probably cut some number of Foundry Street Denizens before touching the Makas.
So Maka basically wins Pannel game 1, and you just want to sideboard it out.
Well, the way the
post-board
games are going to work is Kornacki's going to be trying not to block as much as possible, but simply cast removal spells.
Okay.
You still have Lightning Strike to deal with the Nightveil Spectre. You have Fire Fist Striker, but it's really, it's really hard for the game to come down to that sort of thing. So you just want to get out on your front foot. You have Active Treason that blows up blocking anyway. I don't know if Pannel is gonna make that swap necessarily, but I would remove Rollerball Maka.
Okay. Maka looks so impressive. I wouldn't be able to sideboard it out. I actually sideboarded the other one in after what I just saw in that last game.
I mean, given how many Ratchet Bombs Kornacki's going up to, if I had the information of his deck list, I would probably bring in the third Maka and cut some of the 1-drops.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Kornacki has 2 main deck Ratchet Bombs and then the third one in his sideboard, something that you don't often see from the Mono Black Devotion deck. Of course, you're going to be used to seeing Ratchet Bombs somewhere throughout their 75, but you don't oftentimes see it in the main deck.
Yes,
You just
rare.
oftentimes just see it in the sideboard. And again, Pannel doesn't have that information that it is even in Kornacki's main deck because they're just playing. We have the ability to have perfect information here, which is kind of nice. So he doesn't see Ratchet Bomb game 1, which is good for him. But Ratchet Bomb, of course, just a great tool against the mono red deck.
Yeah, I've run into the occasional Ratchet Bomb game 1, but it's definitely the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah.
And that was more of the case also kind of earlier on in the format as we mentioned a couple times, as the format has become more specific and the mono black decks have become very inbred towards beating one another, things like main deck Ratchet Bomb are just things that occur less frequently.
Sure. So you see both players shuffling up, getting ready, maybe a little bit of sleeve replacement here from Pannel to make sure everything's good to go. But if you guys are just joining us, we do appreciate it, of course. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series has made it to Los Angeles. We are at Stan Lee's Kamikaze. Make sure I get it right moving forward. Don't want to make Stan unhappy. I need more comic book movies in my life. And if your tweets at SCG Live, hashtag SCGLA, we have been responding to tweets all weekend long. Killer_B is approval of that. We've responded to many of his tweets.
Yes. Another card that's has sort of a weird role or lines up weirdly in this matchup for me is Chandra's Phoenix.
Okay.
It lines up very well if they're on all removal spells because you can go to their head and get your Phoenix back. It's very good at playing that sort of game. But it lines up very poorly with Nightveil Spectre and Desecration Demon. So there are some holes that the card has.
Sure.
Some games it looks excellent and some it looks horrible. So that's another card that I've often debated perhaps taking out in this matchup.
Greg Hatch at home, not making it this weekend. He is a California native. We've had him on the feature match camera. Wanted to let us know, Patrick, that, quote, the Human Torch was denied a bank loan, end quote. I believe that is a Anchorman quote.
Yes. Another verbal cue that we often run here as we're waiting. As the promo video is rolling, we are here doing that. Here's both players are keeping 7. Kornacki leads off with a turn 1 Temple, leaving his card on top.
Pannel going to get it off with a 1-drop, just to see which one it is. It is a Rakdos Cackler. He will be unleashed. Going to pass the turn back to Kornacki. You see Kornacki already has at least 1 Pharika's Cure in the grip. There's a Swamp off the top. So he can take care of things. He's also got Ratchet Bomb, too. So a really good start for him this game.
A lot of really powerful tools here.
Not the spot you want to be in if you're Pannel, because now, and you can see he's slowed down drastically. We just saw the body language in game 1. He was playing very, very quickly. Now he has to navigate his way around at least 1 Ratchet Bomb. He may have had a hand that was something along the lines of 1-drop, turn 2, play 2 more 1-drops. Now he has to slow down in a big way. And this is what Ratchet Bomb does against this kind of deck.
Ratchet Bomb is one of the absolute best cards you can have against my build of Mono Red. You're looking for some random sideboard card to add, regardless of what color you are, this is the one.
Yep. So in for 2 comes Pannel. He's going to knock Kornacki down to 18. But now how does he want to play out these next couple of turns? Because things are going to get a lot more difficult for him after sideboard. And, we saw a little bit earlier, we've seen Mono Black. We saw Vidianto Wajaya play against Ricky Sider. Ricky playing the Boros deck. And Vidi just didn't have enough cards to sideboard in, or at least not enough high-impact cards. As here's a Burning Emissary from Pannel. He's just going to pass the turn back. His bomb's going to go up to 1. He had all these underworld connections and just kind of rubbish, where it looks like Kornacki's build is hedging more against aggressive strategies.
Yes, certainly the 4 curses in his sideboard are a very big concession in that matchup.
So there's your land, and now there's a Nightveil Spectre. So now the roadblock is here. It's going to make Pannel have to have a card like Lightning Strike to get this out of the way and be able to keep attacking.
And for the record, Maka is also much better on the play than on the draw.
I believe that. Yeah.
That's also a swap that's reasonable to make.
And one thing too here is if Pannel did leave Maka in his deck or has one in his hand, if you're Kornacki, you just want to block. If let's say he were to attack with both creatures, if you're Kornacki, you want to put the Nightfell Spectre in front of the Cackler.
Yes, because you have insurance with the Ratchet Bomb of anything happening inside of combat.
Yep. So we'll see if that comes up.
I would be stunned to see Pannel send the Cackler in here, though. It's either Burning Tree Emissary or, Pannel potentially has a removal spell, like Lightning Strike, that can handle the Nightveil Spectre. But if that Spectre is inside of combat.
Uh-oh. Double Shock. A card I don't think you felt he should leave in after sideboard.
Yeah, Shock's the first one to go.
Yep. And I think you can. That should be just kind of the reason why. You see, Ratchet Bomb's going to trade with the Rakdos Cackler, get in 2 points of damage, put Kornacki at 16. Is it because Shock isn't going to trade 1-for-1 for anything here that we feel Kornacki would leave in his deck? Again, it is my belief that he would sideboard out Pack Rat in this matchup. So he's got Nightveil Spectre, he's got Desecration Demon, he's got Grey Merchant. Nothing that Shock really lines up very well with.
It's just a hedge against Pack Rat.
Sure.
That's the reason to have Shock in your deck.
Sure.
But Pack Rat's a card I feel like you're very rarely going to lose to, though maybe more so while you're on the draw. A couple Shocks being in your deck is maybe reasonable, but it's definitely a card in the abstract I would want to get out of there.
I'd rather crack them. I'm with you. So Kornacki draws his card for the turn. Not sure if he has a fourth land or not. You see Thomas Pannel there waiting patiently.
Well, no.
Trying to figure out what to do for his turn.
Well, Kornacki, I believe, passed. I don't think he has a land drop. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, he's passed the turn back, yeah. So Pannel has a land. He's going to play another Burning Tree Emissary. And
Chandra's Phoenix.
Okay, so a pretty good turn, actually. Yeah. Get in for 4. Looks like the Cure, maybe.
And this is the kind of game where Chandra's Phoenix is very powerful, where it's about removal spells and not about the flyers.
Kornacki draws back-to-back whips. But even if he had the fourth land, I don't think he'd even have much interest in even playing the first whip, right? Shields are down then. I mean, you do want to get it established at some point, but I don't think you want to do it on turn 4 to
he wants to lead. He has a Desecration Demon in his hand, so he wants to lead with that.
There's another Phoenix. The pressure is really being put on here. And this is something that you talked about a little bit earlier in the day, is that when someone stumbles, you want to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, and this is, this right here is Kornacki's taking a huge risk letting him get into combat because of Rebel Bell Maka. If you want to use your removal spells, don't let this red deck get into combat. Because if no, as a Maka, there would be a disaster.
So he's going to take 2 damage on the exchange. He's going to gain 2, but he'll take 2 from the Emissary. So Phoenix is going to come across. There's a Rakdos Cackler unleashed. And now Kornacki's going to draw his card. And again, not a land. So he's just going to play Pack Rat and pass the turn back. But that's just a boring old 1-1, which means Pannel can quickly activate Mutavault, turn everybody sideways. This is going to be an attack here for 8. I'm not sure if you can afford to take this if you're Kornacki, but it looks like he's going to.
I don't think he can afford a chump block either.
This is kind of the bane of the mono black deck too, because the mono black deck you basically look at a control deck, but it doesn't have Mutilate anymore. So it doesn't have that mass removal spell that we've seen in the past, like Infest. Nothing like that really exists, so you can beat them just by getting a bunch of stuff on the board.
Yep.
Because they can't get a bunch of stuff off the board as you would typically think a mono black deck can do. As here's a Mutavault activation, there's a Pharika's Cure, does it so he can't get in combat. There's a Skull Crack, and that is going to do it. So Thomas Pannel is going to win this match 2-0 over Jonathan Kornacki. Mono red is 5-0. Mono black Devotion takes it on the chin.
Yep.